Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right? Reading the books, showing up every day, staying busy, yet still not becoming the person you know you can be. What if I told you the problem isn't outside of you? It's you, not in a judgmental way, but in a deeply empowering one. Because here's the truth. You are the root of every outcome in your life. And today, we're going to solve the one problem that keeps 90% of people stuck in mediocrity, not knowing how to align with their best self. The foundation of transformation begins not in changing what you do, but in redefining who you believe you are. Your identity is not a fixed entity. It is a collection of thoughts you repeatedly think about yourself. It's the inner narrative you've unconsciously rehearsed until it became a personal truth. Most people try to change their circumstances without ever examining the deep-seated beliefs that are silently dictating those circumstances. They change their diet, their job, their routine, but they don't change who they think they are. And that's why change doesn't last, because the outer world is always a mirror of the inner one. Imagine your identity as the operating system of your mind. Just like software determines what a computer can run, your identity governs what your life can generate. If you've programmed yourself with beliefs like, I'm not disciplined, I always self-sabotage, I'm not worthy of love, or I'll never be successful, those scripts are silently shaping your behavior, your decisions, your energy, and by extension, your outcomes. Your brain is not biased toward the truth, it's biased toward what's familiar. So if you've lived years affirming a limited self, your nervous system will register expansion as a threat, even if it's the very thing you desire. Neurologically, identity is stored as a network of associations in the brain. The more emotionally charged those associations, the more embedded they become. If a person experienced rejection in their youth and created an unconscious belief that I'm not good enough, that thought became hardwired through repetition and emotional intensity. Each new experience of failure only reinforced that original belief until it felt like fact. But here's the revelation, all of that can be rewired. The brain is plastic. It adapts. You can unlearn the false self and recondition your nervous system to align with the version of you that you choose to become. This is where personal evolution begins. The act of changing your life must start with changing your concept of self. This means moving beyond past experiences and emotional memories and beginning to construct an identity based not on who you were, but on who you are committed to becoming. This isn't about fantasy. This is about neurobiology. The brain doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined future and a memory from the past. So, when you begin to visualize your best self with emotional intensity, how they think, how they speak, how they respond under pressure, you are literally rewiring your brain to believe it's already real. And once your subconscious accepts a new identity, the external world has no choice but to follow. Identity is the magnet of your life. What you identify as determines what you attract. If you see yourself as a powerful, confident, disciplined, intuitive, loving person, you will begin to notice evidence that supports this version of yourself. Your reticular activating system, the brain's filtering mechanism, will start to highlight opportunities, resources, and relationships that are congruent with your chosen identity. This is not magic. This is alignment. What you focus on expands. And when you consistently direct your focus toward the identity of your best self, your outer life starts to reflect that inner commitment. But it's not enough to just think about who you want to be. You must embody it. You must feel the feelings, walk the walk, and practice the behaviors of your future self even before the results show up. This creates cognitive dissonance, a gap between who you were and who you are becoming. And this discomfort is not a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that change is happening. You are literally firing and wiring new neural networks while pruning away the ones that no longer serve you. It may feel unnatural at first because it is unfamiliar, but repetition breeds familiarity, and what becomes familiar eventually becomes you. This process demands that you stop looking to your environment for evidence of who you are. Instead, you become the evidence. You begin to take your power back from people, circumstances, and your past. You stop waiting for success to show up so you can feel successful. And you start feeling successful now as a signal to the quantum field, because the field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being. So the deeper your belief in your new identity, the faster your reality will bend to match it. You will notice subtle shifts. People will respond to you differently. Your energy will change the room before you speak. You'll begin to see possibilities where you used to see problems. Challenges won't disappear, but you'll meet them with a new level of resilience, because now you're not reacting from the old self. You're responding as the future self. And this consistency between your internal identity and your external behavior is what creates true transformation. The greatest obstacle between you and the life you desire is not your environment, not your past, not even your circumstances. It's the version of yourself you keep waking up as every single day. We are habitual creatures. Neuroscience confirms that up to 95% of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are automatic. That means only 5% of our conscious mind is steering the direction of our lives, while the rest is being run by deeply embedded subconscious programs. These programs aren't malicious, they're just old. And if you keep repeating yesterday's patterns, you will keep creating yesterday's results. Every morning you wake up, your brain retrieves memories of who you were. It downloads your to-do list, your problems, your limitations, your beliefs. And by doing so, it anchors you into the same emotional frequency you lived in the day before. You think the same thoughts, which trigger the same feelings, which reinforce the same choices. Your body begins to memorize a personality that is tied to your past. And unless you interrupt this loop, that personality will dictate your personal reality. You'll try to create a new future, but it'll be filtered through an outdated identity. Emotions are the record of the past. When you feel shame, guilt, unworthiness, or fear, you are not living in the present. You are reliving an old memory that has chemically conditioned your body. Over time, the body becomes addicted to these emotions. It becomes familiar with suffering, with self-doubt, with playing small. And here's the hidden truth. The body doesn't crave the emotion because it enjoys it. It craves it because it's familiar, it's safe. And anything unfamiliar, even if it's more empowering, feels like a threat to the subconscious mind. This is why transformation is so difficult. You are not just changing habits. You are overcoming yourself. You are rewiring the emotional signatures that have kept you bound to an identity rooted in survival. To step into your best self, you must be willing to let the old self die. And death is uncomfortable. It requires you to sit in the unknown, to step outside of your predictable patterns, and to enter into a space where you don't yet have all the answers. This space, the void, is the birthplace of creation. When you begin to break the habit of being the old self, the brain and body resist. The mind says, this isn't who we are. The body says, this doesn't feel right. You may feel like a fraud. You may feel lost. But this is exactly the sign that you're on the threshold of a breakthrough. Change is not supposed to feel familiar. The discomfort you feel is not failure. It's neuroplasticity in motion. It's the brain pruning away the old synaptic connections and beginning to form new ones. This is where the work becomes sacred. It's in these moments of friction where you have a choice to return to what's comfortable or to breathe into the unfamiliar and stay committed to the vision. Every time you choose differently, you send a new signal to the brain. You tell it, we are no longer the person who overreacts, who plays victim, who procrastinates, who numbs with distractions. And that repetition becomes the architecture of your new identity. The body also needs to be retrained. If it's addicted to stress, you must teach it how to live in peace. If it's addicted to approval, you must teach it how to rest in self-worth. Meditation becomes a powerful tool here, not as a break from life, but as a practice of reconditioning the body to a new mind. When you sit with your thoughts and observe the compulsions to go back to the old self, and you choose not to act on them, you weaken those neural circuits. You reclaim authority over your internal world. But it doesn't stop with awareness. You must rehearse the new self into existence. Mental rehearsal is not imagination, it is preparation. Olympic athletes do it, visionaries do it, and you can do it too. Begin to close your eyes and practice embodying the future you. Visualize how they respond to conflict, how they walk into a room, how they speak, how they handle money, how they treat their body. As you do this consistently, the brain begins to install this as your new normal. And when the mind becomes familiar with the new self, the body will follow. Don't underestimate the power of small victories. Every time you choose patience over anger, faith over fear, discipline over indulgence, you are teaching your nervous system how to live in a new frequency. You are disrupting the old feedback loop. The thoughts that once ran automatically begin to dissolve. The emotions that once defined you begin to fade. And the behaviors that once sabotaged you lose their pull. Because the old self is no longer being rehearsed. And what you don't rehearse, you don't become. There will be days when you slip. That's part of the process. But the difference now is that you're aware. You've stepped out of unconscious living and into conscious evolution. You are no longer letting life happen to you. You are happening to life. You're no longer waking up to a recycled version of yourself. You are waking up to possibility. And with every moment of mindfulness, every choice to return to your vision, you are breaking free from the gravitational pull of who you used to be. In the modern world, hustle is glorified. We're taught that the more we grind, the more we'll achieve. And while effort is essential, effort alone is not what creates true success. What actually creates long-term, soul-aligned transformation is alignment. Because when you are energetically aligned with your vision, when your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors match the frequency of the life you want, you become a magnet for outcomes that once felt impossible. You stop forcing your way forward and start flowing into opportunities that seem to find you effortlessly. You're not chasing, you're attracting. Many people are stuck in a loop of doing more, but becoming less. They're addicted to motion, not progress. They are mentally busy, but emotionally disconnected. This happens when the mind says one thing, the heart feels another, and the body behaves in a completely different way. That internal misalignment creates energetic friction, and that friction becomes resistance. You may want success, but if your subconscious beliefs are rooted in unworthiness, your energy won't support your actions. You'll sabotage the very things you're working hard for, not because you don't deserve them, but because your internal state is out of sync with your external goals. True success begins with coherence. When your inner world and outer actions are in harmony, your thoughts become empowering, your emotions become elevated, your behavior becomes intentional. This is the state where quantum change happens. The brain and heart communicate in real time. The body moves with grace. Your nervous system is regulated. You're not operating from survival, you're operating from creation. This is the moment you move from force to flow. Energetic congruence means you become the embodiment of the future before it arrives. If you want to attract abundance, you must first feel abundant. If you want a healthy relationship, you must first generate the feeling of self-worth and wholeness. If you want peace, you must first regulate your nervous system to be at peace, even in the face of chaos. This isn't spiritual bypassing. This is rewiring your internal state to be a vibrational match for the reality you desire. Because the universe, the quantum field, life itself, it responds to your state of being, not just your checklist. Hustle without alignment leads to burnout. You could be taking all the right actions, checking all the boxes, staying productive from morning till night. But if you're doing it from a place of fear, lack, or proving your worth, the results will either be delayed, short-lived, or feel empty when they arrive. That's because Energy doesn't lie. Your frequency always speaks louder than your strategy, and people can feel it. Your clients, your audience, your relationships. There is something magnetic about a person who is internally congruent. You trust them even before they speak. You feel their presence. Their energy is clean. Their intentions are clear. You cannot fake alignment. You either are or you're not. And the beauty of this truth is that alignment is something you can cultivate intentionally. It begins by becoming radically honest with yourself. Ask, are my goals truly mine, or are they a reaction to external pressure? Do my daily habits reflect my deepest values, or are they driven by survival mode? Am I emotionally rehearsing the future I desire, or am I addicted to the feelings of the past? These questions reveal where you are out of sync. And awareness is the beginning of integration. When your energy is aligned, your decisions change. You no longer choose from fear, urgency, or desperation. You choose from clarity. You choose from self-respect. You walk away from what doesn't match your vision, even if it's comfortable. You say yes to things that stretch you because your intuition, not your insecurity, is guiding the way. And in that space, life begins to reorganize itself around your new frequency. The people you need start appearing. The ideas you need flow in. The doors that were once closed begin to open without you having to bang on them. This isn't about doing less. It's about doing what matters most from a place of internal harmony. When your vision lives in your thoughts, your belief lives in your heart, and your behavior reflects both. You become unstoppable. You don't need to manipulate outcomes because you trust your alignment to carry you. You don't need to chase validation because your energy speaks your truth. You're no longer fragmented between who you are and who you want to be because you've closed that gap from the inside out. This is what makes high performers, visionary leaders, and truly fulfilled people different. It's not just that they work harder. It's that their inner and outer worlds are in congruence. They've aligned their biology with their purpose. They've turned their life into a living meditation where everything they do is infused with presence, power, and deep intentionality. And in this space, life bends to meet you, not because you begged for it, but because you became the kind of person who naturally receives it. One of the greatest illusions that keep people trapped in cycles of stagnation is the belief that transformation is something that happens someday. That becoming your best self is a future event, a moment waiting to arrive when circumstances align, when the timing feels right, when life slows down, when you finally have enough resources, motivation, or external validation. But this illusion is what keeps the highest version of yourself always out of reach. The truth is, your future is not something you stumble upon. It is something you consciously build brick by brick, thought by thought, emotion by emotion, in the now. The present moment is the only creative power you will ever truly possess. It is the access point to the quantum field, the arena where all possibilities exist. If you are not using this moment with deliberate awareness, then you are unconsciously using it to recreate the past. Most people spend their day in reaction mode, emotionally reliving past events, mentally forecasting fears about the future, and behaviorally reinforcing their current limitations. And they wonder why nothing changes. But the key to quantum growth is to reverse that order. Instead of letting the past shape the present, you use the power of presence to rewrite your future. Every moment you are alive, you are broadcasting a frequency. That frequency is made up of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. It's like a signal being sent out into the quantum field, and that signal determines what you attract back into your experience. If you wake up in the morning feeling anxious, thinking about all the things that could go wrong, repeating the same emotional routines you did yesterday, you are sending out a vibrational message that says, give me more of the same. But if you choose instead to wake up with intention, with vision, with gratitude and discipline, your frequency shifts. And when your frequency shifts, your life shifts. This is where daily rituals become non-negotiable. not as mindless habits, but as sacred agreements between who you are now and who you are becoming. A ritual is not something you do to get a result. A ritual is an act of alignment. It is a conversation between your future self and your present self. It's where intention meets repetition, and repetition meets transformation. Your rituals are how you teach your body what your mind believes. They are how you condition your nervous system to hold the energy of your next level before it arrives. When you meditate every morning, you're not just sitting in silence. You are rehearsing your future in the now. You are rewiring your brain to become familiar with new emotional states. You are calming your body out of stress and signaling to it that peace is now safe. You are pulling your energy out of the past and anchoring it into a field of infinite potential. And the more consistently you do this, the more you create coherence between your mind and body, between your thoughts and your reality. You move from chaos into clarity, from randomness into order, from reaction into creation. When you journal your goals, reflect on your patterns, or script the identity you are choosing to embody, you are not fantasizing. You are activating the reticular activating system of your brain to start filtering the world through that vision. You begin to see what was always there, but what your mind was not yet trained to notice. And over time, the external world starts to reflect the internal clarity you've cultivated. That's how vision becomes reality, not by chance, but by design. Your rituals don't have to be complex. What matters is the frequency you carry while doing them. A 5-minute breathwork session done with full presence will shift more energy than a 1-hour workout done in self-judgment. Drinking a glass of water with gratitude in your heart calibrates your body to wholeness in a way that aligns with healing. Reading one page of a transformational book while your mind is open is more powerful than consuming hours of content in a distracted state. It's never about the quantity. It's about the quality of presence and the emotional energy you bring into the moment. There will be days when you don't feel like doing the work, when your mind will argue for the old patterns, when your body craves the familiar discomfort of your past identity. But these are the exact moments when your rituals matter most, because consistency is what trains your subconscious to trust the new version of you. And the moment the subconscious accepts that version as normal, you move from effort to embodiment. You don't have to force confidence. It becomes your natural state. You don't have to fake discipline. It becomes who you are. Your best self is not waiting for the future to arrive. It's waiting for you to meet it here, now, in how you think when you wake up, in how you breathe when you're stressed, in how you show up when no one is watching, in the choices you make when they seem small. Every action becomes a declaration. Every thought becomes a building block. Every feeling becomes a seed. And the more you plant seeds of your desired identity in the now, the more inevitable it becomes that you will harvest that reality in the physical world. The journey to becoming your best self does not begin with a grand breakthrough or a sudden external shift. It begins with a decision, a quiet internal vow that says, I will no longer live according to the limitations of who I've been, but rise to the vision of who I am meant to be. Everything you seek, success, love, peace, purpose. It's not outside of you. It's waiting for you to remember that you were never broken, never behind, and never lacking. You were simply rehearsing an identity that no longer fits the future you're destined to live. When you understand that identity drives reality, you stop trying to fix symptoms and start upgrading your core. You begin to see that who you believe you are is the foundation for every result you create. And when you begin to break the habit of being the old self, those emotional addictions, thought patterns, and limiting loops, you free your energy to move in the direction of expansion, not contraction. The brain rewires, the body heals, the soul breathes. Then something powerful happens. You stop chasing success and start aligning with it. You no longer hustle from lack, but act from alignment. Your energy begins to match your intentions. You speak with clarity. You walk with confidence. You attract what used to elude you, not because you worked harder, but because you worked deeper. This is where effort meets ease. This is where hustle is replaced by harmony. And through it all, your most powerful tool is the present moment. The now becomes your portal to everything you desire. With each ritual, each choice, each act of self-leadership, you are building a bridge to your highest self. You don't become that version later. You embody it today in thought, in emotion, in action. And with each aligned step, you collapse the timeline between who you are and who you were born to be. Success doesn't start when you arrive. It starts when you decide to rise. It starts with you, right here, right now.